How are you, random strangers that I hope are real people listening to me on the web as I'm shouting out things that form in my brain? Are they coming from me or are they coming from around me and they're giving me ideas? You know, that's a thought I have. Jamie Kennedy here. I haven't been posting. I just posted my first clip in over 2 weeks. I was completely twisted up with the Charlie Kirk assassination. Today is his birthday. Represent. You made a mark, my brother. And I am here to help pass along and try to spread what I believe is truth and listen to those who I don't agree with, so maybe I can either understand them more or they can understand me more. That's what he did. I knew nothing about the man, except I knew that he was a person in politics and God. And the first thing I want to talk about is that because it messed me up. And I don't want to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to be blunt. It was one of the most polarizing things I've ever been seen in my life, ever felt in my life. And first of all, to everybody that is saying stuff like, oh, selective outrage, what about all the children that have died? First of all, the children that have died is absolutely horrific, terrible, evil as well, okay? When there was a whole shooting in the Texas city, it was from my 100th episode of this pod. I forget the name of it, the small Texas town where they shot up that school. Evil. I hate that people technicalize everything. People can't just, there's so many people. Why it's so hard to walk amongst the fucking people of this earth, why it's so painful for me, is because people are so fucking dumb. Okay? Like, I just want to grab their face all day and go, I want to do that. I'm not allowed to do that, but I would like to do that. Grab them by the collar and go, what the fuck are you doing? Until they wake up. I'm not allowed to do that, but I would like to do that. Wake up! Because they're like, you have selective outrage. No, of course, children, the whole thing with school shootings is awful, despicable evil. Okay, but what I'm trying to say is it's not broadcast in front of me. I don't open my phone and see blood spurting out of a neck. That's what started this whole thing. Okay? It's horrific with that when that happens to kids. To anyone, but obviously the most innocent are kids. So it's horrific. It's beyond. But to see a man have blood spurting out of his neck and then for giving an opinion, get it? And then in a world where opinions are given, where you think people are just going to talk, and if they don't like you, they'll tell you to fuck up or maybe punch you, but not that. And then to see all the demons celebrate on something so dark. I had one person tell me, he's like, oh, that's the internet. And I looked at him like he was bananas. And to this day, I haven't showed every article of every rock star that has come out and said, this is the most despicable behavior I've ever seen. Mick Jagger said some shit. Bruce Springsteen said some shit. Everyone is older than me. So the same thing I did. And my whole life, I've never seen people react to it. It was insane. But it messed me up and it messed us all up. And, you know, I thought the funeral was beautiful. A lot of people are saying it was, you know, they're being disrespectful, saying it was wrestling and they were doing this and that. I don't know. I watched it. I mean, you know, there's a lot of smoke now. A lot of people are saying a lot of things. It could be a lot of things that happened. I don't know. Do I believe he was killed? 100%. Do I believe there could be some behind the scenes stuff? Yes. It doesn't change my feeling of seeing someone get killed who I believe was innocent. And it doesn't change my feeling of reacting to people who believe that too. So, and their reactions were still horrific. And there's a whole truther community, and there's this woman who I really like. But the super truthers, what they do is they disconnect from anything. These are the people, I don't want to name names, but you know them because you know me and you know people that are associated with me. And they'll say like, Republicans, Democrats, different wings, same bird, it's all a show, which I do believe everything is a show. And somebody wrote this, and I'm seeing this term a lot, and this girl's really into this stuff, and she's really smart, and she's really outspoken. I should have her on my pod. She's from Nashville. But she said, hey, Jamie, don't loosh yourself. And I know exactly what she meant, but I was too deep in it. And then another guy who I really respect goes, stop looshing yourself. It's not a conspiracy. It's a belief, okay? And there's a breadcrumb trail where you can look this up, and looks interesting. Don't let anyone knock down your ideas of talking about things that are not mainstream. Just don't. And what it is you use your energies and you get all worked up, whether you're laughing your face off, crying your face off, fear, whatever it is. It produces some sort of thing, an element, an energy, a molecule. I don't know. It's something comes from all of these emotions, and they've termed it loosh. And this is a theory only for the most open-minded people. But you see enough crazy shit. Can you be open to this? And that all of that gets harvested. As in, like, go watch a crazy rock concert. That's an energy that comes out of that, okay? Out of that, all the emotions, everything, it creates this energy. It's been dubbed loosh by the truther community because they believe that this world is being controlled by a higher power, i.e. we're Sims. That's why I started this like I did. And that our energy is considered loosh, and that's gasoline for them. And whatever, they take it and do whatever they need to do with it. So it's called loosh. So when I got worked up with Charlie Kirk, people are like, don't lose yourself. But the only pushback I have, because I think that's a very real theory, and anybody who's like a fucking sheep would say, oh, he's crazy, he's crashing out and all this stuff. There's tons of people that believe this, and some of the people that believe this I'm talking about are super smart. They're corporate people, and they're not scared to say it. They have big corporate jobs. And there's also people that make their money as podcasters, and they consider crazy, and there's great artists. And then there are legitimate nuts, but there's also nuts in everything. And nut allergy. Oh, yeah. So, and a lot of people sometimes don't understand the pod. You understand it's comedy first. Like, I'm going to say things in a funny way. I believe a lot of the shit I'm saying, but you have to use common judgment to go, is he fucking with me right here? You know what I mean? But I'm not with this shit. This shit is, I believe there's truth to it. It goes along the same lines of go to TikTok and look up the rice experiment. And for 2 weeks, you put rice in 3 different jars. It's a big thing. And every day for like a minute or something, they yelled mean words at one jar, nothing at the second jar, and beautiful words at the third jar. And the third jar was still good after 2 weeks. And the other ones were black. It was crazy. Whether you believe it or not. So I believe this shit. I'm starting to believe it. It took me a while to believe it. So anyway, that all goes back to Charlie. So the truther community will say, well, it's all a show and all this stuff. Well, to me, I still believe in human life and the goodness of it. Unless he was completely not killed, and this was a whole show, then I will feel a different type of way. But to kill a person for part of the show without their participation or wanting of it is evil. So when people say about the loosh, don't lose yourself, I'm like, a person still died. I'm not dead inside. You know what I mean? And it's a way to disconnect from everything. And to me, I don't like that because that's pacifism. And I don't know. I don't know. I still believe that Trump is, he's far from an angel, but I do believe that he's an outsider, a good amount. If he's not, and it's all a show, and he's the greatest heel, I mean, he does love wrestling. And if he is the greatest heel, he'd be the greatest heel in the history of political heels. He'd be an incredible heel. And look up the term heel. But I don't know who the babyface is in this. And the babyface is always the good guy in wrestling. And the heel is the bad guy. I don't know. So just, is it all wrestling or is it not? Anyway, I don't know. But that whole thing messed me up, and I was not regular. So now I'm trying to get back. And I'm doing stuff, and I've been really busy. I haven't been on stage since the Charlie Kirk thing. In terms of stand-up, I have no desire. Plus, I don't want to see comedians doing fucking terrible jokes about it. Like I said, Jimmy Kimmel was allowed to do the joke. But was it in good taste? No. Well, he wasn't talking about him. He was talking about Trump. I know. Again, use just big picture. He used a terrible tragedy at the height of it, a fucking open wound, and just kept fucking putting lemon in it. That's all. It wasn't technically about Charlie. I know. But just go, too much. That's it. That's all we were saying. That's all we were fucking saying. No, but what happened was, because it's nerds. Nerds are nerds on top of fucking nerds that aren't in tune with their emotions, that preach inclusion and empathy, but they're not. Because if they were, they wouldn't have these reactions. They would actually feel things. They just put words on there, and they dye their hair, and they do this shit, but they don't feel anything. They say they do, but they don't. They're narcissistic bigots. And listen, there's narcissists in both sides. But the right isn't going, inclusion, everything. The right, takes stance on things, and they're like, no. The left is, so fake. Of course, the right is fake, too, but they're not acting like they're perfect angels, and that's what the left does. Some do. Yes, I get it. But the whole thing is that I went to a con. I've been to 2 cons. And I went to a huge con in LA Comic Con, and the fucking crowd was huge. And I was like, a lot of people here, and I had to do it, just, go amongst the people. And so it was good. And now I've been going to screenings. My movie Namaka, we had a run. Now it's going to come out streaming. And now my movie Wingman. We've had our 3rd screening now. Now we got into another film festival. So it's going good. We're having... These movies are getting, some attention. So it's... I've been doing that, And I was trying to do another movie, but it couldn't work out in the schedule, so I just had to turn it down. I've been doing, Funny You Should Ask, which is CBS, which will be hopefully take over the Colbert time slot. Sorry, Steven, but it was real and it was fun, and now you're done. That's okay. You had a great run. So I've been doing that. I've been doing Comics Unleashed. I've been working on my YouTube. So I've been doing a lot. I've been tired. And I really haven't. And I've been fucking flying. I got to go to Europe tomorrow. And then I come back. And then I go to Seattle. And then I come back. And then I'm going to be here for a few weeks. and then Detroit, and then Columbus, and then maybe Hawaii. And these are all great things to have, but it's been a fucking wild year. Just from the beginning of this year to the horrific thing in New Orleans to where we're at now. To the orbs before that. So there's so many weird fucking things, bad things, evil things. And I'm having to get my life in order. I really want to focus on this pod. I signed with this company and they stink. And I'm going to keep saying they stink because they haven't brought me one fucking ad. And they're terrible communicators. So they stink. And if they see this, play it for them. You stink. It's so easy. Just get me a couple fucking sponsors. It's a joke. Jesus. I'm also being completely shadow banned. Everyone says it because I get mad comments on the views I get. And I have some good stuff lined up for these things. I don't even think the podcast will last in the normal podcast world. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to always keep doing it, but the Real Shorts thing is really taking off in terms of content and the way it's consumed, and I think that's going to be a real big thing for our future of our business. And, you know, so you understand what it is. Quibi was this company that was going to do it. I had to deal with them. It was 6 years ago, 7 years ago, and it's $10 billion. $10 billion. Let me explain how this works so you guys understand this, okay? Oh, I'm going to go deep right now. I hope this is interesting to you because it is. I'm going to make it interesting. So Quibi, you know, Jeffrey Katzenberg, look him up. He's a fucking pioneer, man. He is a pioneer of this business. He changed so many things in Hollywood. Hardworking dude, broke guy from New York City and came up from nothing. Part of something called Diller's Killers in the early 80s, who made all the great Paramount movies. And then made Disney Animation what it is, Pixar, all of it. It's incredible. Disney was on life support, and him and Michael Eisner completely 40 years ago revamped the whole thing. So Jeffrey Katzenberg is a super executive. From live action movies at Paramount, destroyed. From Disney Animation, destroyed. Did everything. From DreamWorks, destroyed. A complete mogul. And he came up with Quibi. And he raised $10 billion. And Quibi was, 10 eps. You get 3 free. And then you're hooked, so you buy 7 more, and it's a monthly subscription. And he made deals with everybody around town. $10 billion. Long story short, they lost. It's crazy. They had a huge building over in Beverly Hills. It was incredible. Everyone's like, Quibi, Quibi, Quibi. He was like, bite-sized Quibi. Here's his problem. He's so smart. He's ahead of his time. Totally ahead of the curve. So. And I want to say some shit, and I'm going to drop names, but I'll figure out if I want to keep them or not. So let's see if we can do this. But they also fleeced people. These Wall Street, I don't know if you get it as a write-off, but it funded most of it. So like big hedge funds, what they do, debt financing. And so I think it's a write-off if it doesn't work. They have to put their money in somewhere. And they put it in this whole startup, and they fucking fleeced people. And they didn't. They got fleeced, but maybe their investors also got fleeced. You understand what a Wall Street money manager does, right? They do nothing other than sit on a bunch of other people's money. So people make all this money, however they make it, and the guy goes, hey, give me $2 billion. So a guy's got $2 billion on the market cap, and this is a baby fund. Guy starts a fund, right? So this is really simple. Guy starts a fund, is $2 billion, and he goes, okay, I just take 2% every year of the fund, of the upside, and then if I hit these markers, then I'll get 5% of the actual fund, so 2%. So the fund makes 10% in a year, it's 200 million. Let's say he gets 5% of that. It's 10 million. And then if he proves himself over a couple of years, then he gets a piece of the whole fund. The fund's 5 billion. He might get 8%. You figure that out. You understand. It's a fucking couple $100 million. And that's nothing. These guys have billions. So that's all they do. He could put $4 billion in Tesla. It went up 38% last week. So, you know what I'm saying? But they act like they're geniuses, and these are the guys that own everything. So it's just simple. It's apples and oranges. So when Quibi came, they were making deals, and they made a deal with Reese Witherspoon. Ha! And she did some show where it was a nature show. So like 6 1-hours over a nature documentary on Quibi. I don't know. I think it was like 10 episodes or something. Whatever. 6 million. I'm pretty sure you can look this up. Voiced it over. I don't know. $1 million every couple minutes. It all tanked. It went away. Did anyone give the 6 million back? No. Is that fair? Is that fair? Like, if you were her, we'd be like, well, I didn't really work. 2 million back. I mean, I offered to give some of my money back when a movie didn't work, and they said no. I said, well, I'll do another movie for half the money. They said no. So, that's true. So, here's what I want to tell you. In the height of the business, and this is 20 years ago, Lost was maybe $1.5 million. That was 20 years ago. Maybe $1.5 million an episode of Lost. Huge adventure show, practical effects, huge cast, top 5 show, #1 for a long time. Hawaiian location, crazy shit, all real, CGI, big sets, huge showrunner fees. Maybe $1 million. Because if Ghost Whisperer was $1 million when I was on it, I thought that was crazy. Lost might have been $1.5 million, might have been even 2, which was considered crazy, but it was Lost. They were still making money. This is what I heard, so someone should check me in the comments, but if it's true, take a guess what Apple pays per episode for the morning show. You know the morning show? Who's on it again? Reese Witherspoon. Ha! She made $100 million for a production company. What show did she sell in syndication? Am I hating? No, I'm questioning. Ha! She's had some humongous hit movies. That's different. I'm just talking about some of these other things. $10 million. $10 million an ep for the morning show. $10 million an ep for the morning show. Do you remember the morning show? Do you know the morning show? The show with Reese Witherspoon, Jennifer Aniston, Steve Carell. 3, top heavy. Oh, they're the stars. What are they getting? They do 10 eps, $1 million an ep, maybe more. They each get the whole budget probably for 10 eps is $100 million. And Apple, that's a wart on their dick. It goes where? It goes on Apple TV. Who the fuck even watches any of that? They had one show, Ted Lasso. Was it a hit? It seemed like it was a cultural hit. I don't know how big the views were, but I know he made a lot of money. So I feel like that's a show that's made for the town. I don't know people in middle America going, I got to watch the morning show. And it's just fat cats getting fatter. So you go, where's the business at? I'm telling you, they're overpaying things that don't make a fucking stink. And then Squid Games comes along. Netflix didn't make it. They discovered it, and it blows up. So you want to know, where's the business? The business is imploding because people are just fucking fleecing things, and Apple will pay it because they're getting cucked down by the coolness of Hollywood. Hollywood cucks down to them for their money, but they cuck down to Hollywood because they're like, you're cool. Like, you're still the glitz and glamour. But the general pop is like, no, now the glitz and glamour just got weird. It's too creepy. It's too fucking dark. And so what you're noticing is the complete implosion of the business. Tron this weekend made $32 million. I think 33 number. The budget's 180. 33 million. Someone's like, well, Tron's not something that you're... No, it's not about that. That's a huge movie. They're giving you Jared again. huge effects. I think the general pop goes, I don't give a fuck. And so that's why I'm surprised that my little movies keep getting in festivals and stuff, which is good because I think it's going to be independent. I think you have to make shit for so low and then you own a piece of it, and then that's how it works. I think we're going back to the 70s again. 70s cinema, which is great. And because no one's going to, these Paramount is about to be bought by Warner Brothers. I mean, Warner Brothers is about to be bought by Paramount. There's only going to be a few players left. But why am I saying all this? It's because the business is not the same. It's never going to be the same. And this is part of my midlife crisis, but also it's about creating your own stuff more than ever. And it's about these companies who are going, I've been told, but many of these companies are not cash rich. So they're going to go and they're borrowing off of these hedge funds. And that's your money. Your retirement money is funding Tron, whether you know that or not. So now the biggest agencies in the world are complaining about AI. And they're trying to stop Sora 2. I'm like, Sora 2? You know, you saw Michael Jackson going to Kentucky Fried Chicken. You saw Mr. Rogers sitting with Eazy-E. Like these amazing videos, right? Well, they're saying, you can't use any of our actors and our actresses. You know what's going to happen to that? Do you know what's going to happen to that, big agencies? Okay. It's called fucking, what was the lawsuit in 2000? Napster. That's what's going to happen. Do you think that General Pop wants to pay more than ever? They don't want to support our business. They didn't want to do it in 2000, and they were pissed that rich rock stars who had every right to fight, and I think Metallica did they did what they had to do. It was a new technology and they protect their stuff. And they said, fuck that. And that's a band that has mad respect. And they still stole. Now it's 25 years later. Hollywood has got a stink on it like it's never had. General Pop wants to fucking pillage Hollywood. You know, they'll use everyone's image. And they're like, you can't use our image. They do not give a fuck. So all these agencies, this is the hypocrisy. Which is the same thing I'm saying about this with Kimmel, is that the hypocrisy is that these agencies hate AI and they don't want you to use any of their clients. You are bastardizing their images, and this is a Supreme Court decision. You can't put one of our clients in there. First of all, you don't own your client. When your client gets cold, you just slowly let them die on the vine. Or if they get in a drug thing, you can just kick them off. Gina Carano is a huge agency. She's gone. They didn't go, hey, that's Gina, you can't. No, they just probably didn't even, they probably fired her through an email. I'm like, get out. Like, she didn't have a say. But these same agencies that are saying, like, you can't because you're going to cut into their bottom line when you're going to be disrupted, agents are going to have to run for the hills, and I cannot fucking wait. The leeches are going to have no blood to suck from. And I'm saying this because agents are leeches. The only good fucking people are the people that don't get involved with big agencies, because the big agencies cuck everyone down and then they make this huge hive mind, and then individuals get left behind. And it's not fucking fair. And so artists get fucked. They put, this is a piece of talent, this is a piece of collateral. I'll give you this for this. The artists have no fucking idea. Hey, why did I just do this giant fucking worm movie? Tremors is a good one. Why did I just do this giant fucking tomato movie? Oh, because you... And then meanwhile, the other girl gets the Oscar-winning role. Oh, I got her to do it. You know, they don't know. They're all pawns. But these agencies that are doing this are the same people that now have been fighting to sign an AI actress. It's all over the news. They tried to sign an AI actress when they're going against AI. Don't you ever listen to anything that anyone in Hollywood says ever again. They're all actors and they're bad at it. I'm telling you. Oh, hey, grifter. Oh, look at you. You're bitter. I'm not bitter. I have a wonderful life. I don't have to say anything ever. I could just go about my life, collect my screamies, and fucking, if I never left my house again, I would survive until I'm 105. Okay? I don't have to do anything. 2% a year interest, I'm fine. You understand? I do it because I'm compelled. There's no money. You think talking about Charlie Kirk may be popular? Like, people from real human beings liked it, but all the leeches and demons were like coming after me. It's crazy. Just thinking like, hey man, murder and execution is not good. You piece of shit, how dare you? You don't want to see a man murdered in front of the whole world, in front of his family. Like, sorry. I still have my soul activated. I'm sorry, it's not dead. My soul's alive. I'm not sorry. That's the hypocrisy. You get it? They literally sent an open letter, all the agencies saying you can't use AI on our clients, but they're trying to sign an AI client. And people are like, I need an agent. How stupid are you? Any of these videos talk about how to get an agent, take the video, send it to me, and in the comments say, Jamie says, how stupid are you? There's not going to be agencies soon. Here's an example. Very big comedian. You can figure it out. There's a few of them. Built up their whole brand by themselves. Went to an agency. The agency then booked him. He was already getting booked everywhere. Didn't need an agency to do it. And the agency's like, we're going to help you do this. They just took all of his heat. This person did it all themselves. Why? It's because they're conditioned to believe that agents have the power. They have no power. The only people that are powerful are the people that are lone wolves in this business. The managers. Look up Jack Nicholson's agent. That's a real lone wolf. You understand that? Lone wolves. Anyone with a big company stinks. They stink. That brings me to the big thing everyone's talking about. The big old thing. And that is the Riyadh Comedy Festival. I can't tell you how much I love the comedic civil war that is taking place right now. And before I start this, I'm going to give credit to K. Francis Norris, a very young comedian. Is he a producer? You tell me, bro. Who is one of the youngest comedians in the bunch in terms of his experience, but one of the best ones and one of the smartest ones, doesn't miss. His name is Kyle, just like Kyle before him never missed. Quick minds. And he said, before all this happened, comedy needs a controlled burn. Brilliant. And guess what? It's fucking happening. And I say, blow it. Blow all this. Comics are eating each other's fucking faces, gnawing each other's legs off, and I love it. I love it. I love it. Do you know why? Because there's this side, and the truth truly is somewhere in the middle. It really is. And first of all, what is comedy? Well, comedy used to be something that you had to work at. I never knew what I wanted to do. But comedy, I'm not like everyone else. Like, I respect the way I got into comedy because I didn't want to do it. I thought, Jesus, that's so scary. Why would you want to do that? It's fucking people go up there, you bomb, they ridicule you, they hate your guts. I didn't want to go near it. But I had just so many jobs that I couldn't last. And people were like, you're too crazy to have a job. Like, you should do comedy or something like that. Enough people told me, do comedy. So if you get fired from Red Lobster and you get fired from Domino's and you get fired from, the gym, 24-hour fitness, and you are massage lady's assistant and caterers fire you and everyone's like, dude, you're so fucking crazy, but they're laughing at you. They're like, dude, you need to do comedy. At some point, I had to go, how many times are people going to say this before I do it? Like, I didn't want to do it. I'm not like all these geniuses out here that are like, I want to do comedy because they're so brilliant. Okay? Maybe I am kind of good at it. Let's take the most humble approach. I'll let the audience decide. I didn't want to do it. I was like pushed into it by people. Like they were like, dude, you're never going to get anything in this world or exist in this world unless you're like on stage. Because you're too fucking crazy. And I take that with the most beautiful badge of honor. I was bullied into comedy. I ended up starting to do it. And when you do it is you take something called a drama log or a backstage, and this was 1990, 35 years ago, and you open it up and you go to the back and they have something called open mics. Starbucks weren't even here yet. Internet wasn't a thing. Laptops were barely a thing. You had to be really rich. Cell phones were nowhere near. Pagers were the thing. Answering services were just starting. Instead of just a machine, you had your machine, but the service. You can call in. And so I would go and I'd circle the open mics and I would say, I'm going to try it. And I would try it. And that's how it started. And went once a week and then twice a week. And then I stopped. And then eventually I got on a system where I started going in January 91. I said, I'm going to try to do it once a night. Or at least the weekends were hard because there were headliners and good comics and I wasn't known. So the weeks were where you could practice. And they had new faces night or tryout night and all this shit. And you went to coffee houses. And so you went and it was, singers, a lot of folk singers, some poets, some people doing comedy, some people doing improv. There's a lot of people that have done different things in this world, writing, directing, acting, but started as open micers. So you just do it to see if you have anything. This is a long story, but I want to give context. So you do it, and I was on that open mic circuit for 2.5 years, at least, just 5 times a week, and sometimes 2 and 3 times a night. Very rarely a Saturday gig, but usually Sunday through Thursday. Friday was hard and Saturday was hard, but at least 6 times a week. I sometimes had 3 gigs in a night. It was awesome. And then I would go to the Improv, and you would sign up and you would get a number, and then after like a month and a half you would get your 3-minute audition, and on a Monday night, and this was in the basement of the Improv on the 3rd Street Promenade, and you have to go after 12:30. And then you could also sign up at the Comedy Store in Westwood. None of these rooms exist now. And so you try to get a spot within a month. And so, I would do it. And the guy who ran the club and said, he was Michael Rappaport's father-in-law. And he said, in order to be a comedian, you need a hook, you need a point of view, and you need to have set up some punches. And he goes, you don't have any of that. He goes, you have to figure out who you are. And I was all defensive. And I was like, shut up. And I got bumped one night when I got on one of my first tries, and I was like, who the fuck is this guy bumping me? I waited 2 months for this. I got 3 minutes. I took the bus over here, and he's like, this is a new guy. And I'm like, I waited for 2 months. I got 3 minutes. Like, come on, man, this is my time. And he's like, this guy's on TV. What the fuck are you doing? And I said, I waited in line. He goes on, he kills. I never knew anything about politics or comedy. And they're like, look, man, this guy's funny. He had been around for about 5 years, and now he was on SNL. And he was just getting hot. So clearly, in my hindsight, I understand it. But at the time, it made no sense to me why a person would bump a new face, an auditioning young comic that's been doing it for 8 months, for 3 minutes, to get his shot when they're already on TV. Isn't it my turn? But at least I got bumped by legends. I got bumped by Rodney Dangerfield. I got bumped by Ellen. Okay, I got bumped. Okay, I'm not like these fucking bums. They don't get bumped by anybody. They get bumped by bums. And bums will say they got bumped by a good person. They didn't. I got bumped by legends. So, and they said, get on fucking TV and you'll get more spots. And I was like, but that doesn't mean I'm a good comic. I said that. And they said, just get on the TV. So then I learned it very early in my career, a lesson that was valuable but not good. So I stopped doing the fucking con game and all the bullshit. And I just said, I'm going to go and fucking get on TV. You know, and because I read so much about Bill Hicks, Sam Kinison, Dick Gregory, Bill Cosby. What I'm trying to tell you is these were guys that did it. And they didn't even see they didn't see 6 minutes at the store until they had 4 years of every night. It's the 10,000 hour rule. Just every night, just doing it for years. I was doing open mics for years. Now, it got incestuous in the same comics you'd see, not as many real people, but I was at least in front of a microphone, learning technique 5-6 times a week for 2 years. The Beatle rule of when they played the strip club for 2 years in Hamburg, you know. But when I went on stage and I see Nick Swartzen and he's like 21, and he just goes up and I have 20 minutes and he's doing 10 and he murders. And he's like 6 years younger than me and I'm already starting to get some fame. I'm like, and I'm good, but he murdered. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? The point is that you did it until you got good enough and you got 6 minutes to get on TV. And then that 6 minutes led to a 15-minute spot on Comedy Central, and the 15-minute led to a half hour, and you got a Conan, and then you'd work your way up to a Tonight Show, and then once you're on those, then you start middling in clubs if you didn't have enough, and if you were good enough, you could headline. So I wasn't good enough, but I middled, but I had a name, so people would let me middle for them, and so it was Gary Valentine and Bob Saget, Rick Overton, these guys, I only had 20 minutes, but it was pretty good 20. And they were like, well, we know who you are and you're famous and you're known. And so you'll help bring in tickets. So I did. And that's how I got good. I learned by that. So I went from open micer to middle. And, Harlan let me open a few times for him and just, it was fucking amazing. But my point is the art of comedy wasn't being practiced because the only one that was really doing it was when Bill Hicks every night would do 20, 25 minutes every night. New material, keep pushing it. But when people want to sell tickets, it's a different animal. And so these clubs, ever since I've been involved with them, and I don't know what I'm going to say here and burn this bridge, comedy got completely, there was an ecosystem. Like, open micers only talk to open micers. Maybe you got friendly with a host who was the host on a show with known middlers and maybe a headliner like George Lopez might be there or Ellen. One night I was at the Improv, Ellen, George Wallace, Seinfeld, all in the Improv. That's what I was an open micer. Do you understand the difference? So when social media came along, it took the TV thing even worse because if you got a following on social media, the clubs cuck down to you. But how many of these people have come up through the system and have done it and gone through everything from fucking shitty open mics to bars to festivals to hell gigs to corporates to pissing off people to colleges to TV tapings, all this shit. Comedy has become not so much about comedy, it's more like a like-minded gathering space. So if you do mostly crowd work, you have a ton of people that can love that and consume that, you're over here. You're doing that. If you're a person that just does crazy one-liners and you're more a traditional comedian of like set up punch, you have your own thing over here. And there's all levels of success and non-success, right? But I can't tell somebody that's been doing comedy for 18 months who's selling 2,000 tickets a night anything. Because they're not going to listen to me, nor is it my place. But unfortunately, or fortunately, there's no barrier to entry to comedy. So you can't tell anybody who's selling anything. But there are people that do sell and really work hard at it. But with comedy, it's subjective. And there's ideologies now. You can go to comic and say, I'm a gluten-free lesbian, and woo, and they'll all show up. Or I'm the Pakistan crazy guy, and they'll all show up. You know what I mean? There's a like-minded race, politics, identity. So that's another thing. For me, I want to just be funny. And I think you should just be funny. And I think whatever you are on the outside or in the inside, you should just be funny. So, all that is being said is that there's all this smoke about the Riyadh Comedy Festival. And the first thing you have to understand is comedians are not people that should be any moral compass. They gave you all that backstory to say comedians are the most desperate people, some of the most desperate people on the planet. I would put them up there with, tweakers, like you're really jonesing. People that do comedy are broken. My girl Alyssa said, comedy is the only place that rewards undiagnosed psychos. And it's true. A lot of undiagnosed psychos are in comedy. But the best comics are people that have nowhere to go and that are lone wolves. Really lone wolves. To me, in order to be good, you should be a lone wolf, away from everything. You can be friendly with everyone, but a comedian is a lone wolf. You don't want to be influenced by anything other than the world. So there's all this smoke about this Riyadh Comedy Festival, and it's like, it just keeps being talked about. And I was just going to not say anything because it's like, I know this stuff, but everyone's already kind of said everything. But it's like, there is a truth in the middle here. And I think that I can really help you understand it. But understand that comedians would sell their mother to get 5 minutes at the chateau. They just would. And if they're not telling you that, they're lying. They would. Comedians will do anything for stage time. If they're not, I'm not. They're lying to you. Okay? They're not. A lot of people do comedy not for comedy, but for the after party. Comedy is their nightclub. Oh, they go in there, they're funny, but if they could just get rid of the stage and the microphone and just get the validation of the chicks, they would just do that. They'd rather just be funny. They're going to say that's not true, but they're lying to you. Again, that's a lie. Okay? Take it from me. I've done shows for a long time where I was like, man, I'm in Phoenix. I can't wait to do these shows over because I'm going to go to the club. I'll have some fun. I got my fame. What chicks are going to be here? Bottle service? Sure. But I still worked on giving them a good show. But there's times I'm like, let me get through this show so I can go to the W in Scottsdale. If you know, you know. But at least I was good, I think. People seem to be laughing. But I wasn't dishonest about it. I was like, damn, I wish I could just go to the club right now. I don't want to fucking do a show. A lot of people will say, oh, they all just want, or a lot of them do. So they're lying to you. And they want to belong. A lot of comedians want to belong to something. And they get very tribal. And it's good to have support among your peers, but it's also, you become good through wear and tear. So, ask any band in the 80s that played the Palomino in North Hollywood. Those who know. They put chicken wire up because bottles would be thrown at them. You got good. I'm not saying that's ideal, but, that's how you get good. And so just, all your friends come in and watch you and stuff. You're not going to get as good. Comedians, you have to understand that they're narcissists. But a comedian, number one, more than anything else, should be funny. That's number one. That's what comedy is. Funny. A very big producer, writer, I'm not going to tell who it is. Huge movies, huge TV shows. He said, really smart guy, and I was like, why'd you do this when you could have did so many things? And he goes, I write escapism for the common working man so he doesn't come home and beat his wife. He said that. I thought that was brilliant. Not that every guy's going home and beating their wife. Take it down. Don't cry. But it was a great statement of like, he's providing escapism for the hard-working common man. And I thought that was very noble. And this guy could have done anything in life, but he liked it and he was good at it. And instead of being a physicist, he wrote. And he wrote a lot of comedy. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. A lot of domestic problems from stress and the hard life, working in a steel mill. You come home, you want to fucking laugh. Johnny Carson saved a lot of backhands. I'm not saying it's right. So that always lives rent-free in my head, that statement. And so if you're a comedian, I just always thought you should be funny. And if you're really funny, you don't have to be likable because you're just going to be likable, because who doesn't like somebody who's funny? If you really are making someone laugh, you're completely disarming them. So what's the lesson so far as I'm telling you this long-ass story? Comedy, something you work hard at, you get good. That's how it used to be. You got the TV, then you got on TV, then you got movies, and blah, 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 blah. Well, that changed. Social media made it so it's like, oh my God, just popularity came, and people might not doing it for 4 years, doing it for 8 months, but they're selling tickets and they're there and they don't know. They're amazing. And then content everywhere. I need to fill up. This guy is special. So it was a special or two every year. Now there's 10 specials a week. Some some you don't know. And that's the way it is. But there's only one Louis C.K., There's only one Joan Rivers. That's how I was raised. And you did gigs. And you've done gigs for money. So when you do a club gig, you can pretty much do whatever you want. I mean, unless it's like crazy hateful. But I think clubs are the most open-minded. Colleges used to be able to do a lot. I don't know what you can do. I don't know how much comedy there anymore, but there are certain things. When you do USO shows, you can do anything except they don't like you to talk about the president, no matter what side he is on. I remember that, and I'm pretty sure that was it. And they said you can't say the word fuck. And I said why? And they said, I don't know. The government doesn't like fuck. This was true to me. This was said to me, and I said why? The government's been fucking us for years. Good joke. But yeah, those are the only two things. So again, free speech. It's not free speech, but it's pretty free. So everyone gets invited. Not everyone. I don't know, like 50 comics, I think, got invited to go to Saudi Arabia. And comics are fighting, General Pop's fighting back and forth. Heroes are falling, people are being revealed, all this stuff. Let's be fully transparent here. I have done comedy a lot of places. Guess where I've done it? Saudi Arabia. Did I do it a long time ago? About 7 years ago, 6 years ago. Did I hear some smoke? Yes, I did. Was I a little bit concerned? Very much so. Did they offer me a lot of money? Yes, they did. Was it life-changing? No. But it was like a super high-end college gig per night. So again, if you talk about free speech, when I did the show, the free speech was you can't talk about race, religion, politics, sex, and you can't curse. So I said, you can't do comedy. Those were the requirements. And I think this was the precursor to the Riyadh Comedy Festival. I wasn't there. I was in Jeddah. And a promoter took us over. And I think the shows were for regular people. I think there was there was definitely people that looked like sheiks there, but I don't know. I don't remember like being royal or anything. I was kind of bummed. I was like, I want to meet the royal people. So understand, and people are talking about free speech. Those are the 5 things we couldn't talk about. And I went with amazing comedians. I'm not going to drop names. We did 1 show. We were booked for 3 shows. It was dicey because we had to skirt the line of what we could say. Because they didn't want to be offended. Or they didn't just want to do that stuff. The shows were late at night, which was amazing. After the show, they took us out. We had some street kebab. And then we went on a sightseeing tour. We had a woman who I believe is partial Saudi, or maybe she's Lebanese. I'm not going to say her name, but she's great. I did comedy in Beirut. I thought about that too. Beirut. Where half of it was amazing nightclubs, but we would do comedy in literally war-torn buildings. So war-torn buildings, and then they would take us to nightclubs, amazing nightclubs, bottle service. So we toured all of Saudi Arabia till like 4 a.m. They stay up late there. It's wild. Amazing food. Sleep all day, hit a crazy buffet. I see a woman, I literally see her ankle. And I literally saw her eye, the slit of her eye. They were so covered up. She looked gorgeous. We start doing the show, the second show, and I said, I saw this beautiful woman. Am I allowed to say I saw a woman? And there was like, and I saw the skin right here. And I wanted to say in our country, I wanted to say you get tit, but I didn't say that. I said, yeah, I got eye. I got lid. Like that. And they just looked at me and I go, yo, I got lid. That's like third base. Didn't go over well. Anyway, they cut the show short, not because of that, but just because there was shows like the week before and the week before, and they were already questioning it. And I think our show just stopped it. So we did 1 full show, a second half show. They stopped it and they said, oh, its ticket sales are slow. And they were slow. Big, beautiful tent. And I sold my merch, and amazing comic makes fun of me to this day. And he says, man, you out there selling your fucking DVDs? And I'm like, it's not your region, but I still sold them. I sold fucking DVDs and I got like drachmas or whatever. And I was signing DVDs and stuff. And there was like people from London, and there was some people really showing more face and some people couldn't show face. I don't know what the rules were, but people were they were like, we had such a good time. And I'm like, you guys like didn't laugh. And they go, we want to, but you're not allowed. Because they didn't want to like laugh at things that people thought inappropriate because people were watching them. And there was women at the show. I couldn't bring my chick. I think I was told if I brought my chick, I'd have to prove that I was married to her. I couldn't stay in the same hotel room. Free speech. So crazy thing happened. I was filming something on the street. A cop came over to me. It was like 3 a.m. And he comes over, hey, and he did this whole thing. Took my phone. I was like, dude, you gotta give me my phone. I begged him. And he's like, no. And so I just went and deleted in front of him. And he was like, And I said, gone. He said, okay. He let me go. I was uncomfortable for a minute. It was like 3:15 in the morning. And I was people were like under fountains, and I was like, it's so hot, I'm gonna get under this fountain. So that was a moment. So then after that show that we didn't finish, we went out, had kebabs, fucking smoked hookah, amazing, out all night. Didn't drink, couldn't drink. Next day, I had killer fucking buffet, and then they said the Tonight Show's canceled. We're like, why? Like, yeah, it's just done. So they said you can stay another day or two, whatever you want, but the tour's over. Now, we didn't know why, but we figured probably because we were pushing the edges of things, and because we really couldn't talk about it that much. We're like talking about, you ever notice when like you're on a camel? Like, I mean, we had like crowd work, like, where are you from? Jafar? We're like, hey, Jafar? Like, whatever. I'm too tired to make up something funny, but we couldn't really do anything. So it was like, if somebody's wearing something really funny, do some crowd work. Or you just had to do the most TV version of something. And it was, you don't think I went out there and did loud noises and did a voice or two? I did a Marge Simpson voice. That's not good right now. I'm tired, but. So we stayed, enjoyed the country for another couple of days, just chilled, ate. It was like, listen every night at like 5 a.m. We'd hear the prayers. Same in Beirut. But Beirut, we played in really crazy conditions, and then we went to beautiful restaurants and nightclubs. We felt very safe, even though it was like war-torn. So we left. Got paid for everything. Now, I don't know if it was the government. I don't know if it was a sponsor. I don't know. It could have been the government. It could have been the sponsor. But I think I remember hearing that they were going to try a festival. And I think that was like, it was years in the making. And I think that we started what this now. But as Saudi Arabia does, they take their money and they throw a lot of it out there. And they've been doing everything, buying golf and sports and all this stuff. And I'm going to go on to more of it, but I have to stop after this. Is there dirty money? Of course. Can you talk about oppressive situations and take dirty money? No, you cannot. You either have to say, I'm taking dirty money, or I'm not going to talk about things. So people that have gone over and not caught in heat are people that never talk about things like that. It's the people that claim that they're these purists and then take money that ain't pure that are catching heat. Doesn't mean they're not top brilliant comedians, which they are. I think the disconnect is that people want to just say, yo, I know. So in defense of the people criticizing them, the people criticizing them are correct in the sense that the hypocrisy is strong. But to defend my fellow comedians, some people in this group are just straight corporate comedians that are going to take a buck. They don't get involved with any of that. They don't know where. They don't ask questions. Boom. They're not going to catch any shit. And everyone goes, oh, yeah, that person's always going to take a buck. Okay. They're not catching anything. Other people are just straight joy givers. Not every comedian on that thing is a joy giver. There are people, though, that are just straight laugh machines, just bring people joy. And I think they should get really no ill will, because one of the comedians, I don't know what to say his name, but he had a great slogan. It said, "Laugh, unity through laughter." And I do believe that comedy is the great unifier. You have to start sometime. So I do believe that is a good thing. You can't just say, no, this place is, you have to try, right? Or else you're not trying to unify, right? So unity through laughter, I think, is a great tagline. I think it's the people that, talk about oppressions and all these different movements and stuff, and then that are out there taking the money. But if they just said, yo, man, I wanted to make $1.5 million or 800,000 or whatever, I'm a hypocrite. I don't think people would give a fuck if you just said I'm a hypocrite. Yo, I wanted to put a down payment on a beach house. That's it. That's all you got to say. And I think that people will respect that. So I think that people just, trying to be like, well, I'm trying. Come on, man. Just fucking say you wanted the money. You wanted to be treated like a king. And you are. But in defense of them, to all the people crying that weren't invited, that aren't at the top part of the table, I mean, this is a very select dinner table that was invited. I mean, these are the top of the tops, right? Not just in box office of comedy, but in talent and name and ability. These are all great comedians. There's not a bum on that roster. Like, they're all fucking amazing, unique voices. You may not like some of them, but you cannot deny their talent, their ability to captivate a fucking stadium, a arena, a room. So you have to give them their due. Trust me, I've followed most of these people or have gone before them. It ain't easy. They are incredible. And they have worked very hard to get where they are. And they deserve their success. So in their defense, I will say that the people that don't get invited, you don't understand the air that which these people breathe. You have to question yourself, because I've seen a lot of people that complain, and once the money gets good, they take it. So they're hypocrites as well. You have to understand that comedians are not the moral compass, because they're dirty, desperate animals that will do anything for stage time and will sell their mother for a fucking 5-minute spot at the side room at the Chateau. Felix, back me up on this. Comedians want to be loved. They want to be accepted. But here's the other thing is that there's dirtiness all over the world. And I'm going to give you an example, a simple example. Do you consume movies? Do you know some of your favorite movies are funded by dirty money? I'll just give you 2. Daddy's Home, Wolf of Wall Street. Wolf of Wall Street, great movie, amazing. Funded by a criminal. Red Granite Pictures, do the deep dive, look it up. Stolen money from like the Tagalonese government or something, $6 billion. I used to see the guy in Vegas all the time. He'd come out in a wheelchair because he was so fucking wasted. Gave hundreds of thousands of dollars in art to different people, Kim Kardashian. It's all documented. Everyone partied with the guy. He'd buy out nightclubs, spend $2 million a night. It was all stolen money. He washed his money in Hollywood, made multiple movies with a company called Red Granite Pictures. Those movies are successful to this day. I don't think anyone's given the money back. And it was completely dirty money. The guy has a credit in a lot of movies. J-Lo, look him up. There's a lot of movies. Guys come in and buy in. China just bought a big part of Warner Brothers, a shingle, and I forget the fucking name, but the company that did Godzilla, this was all acquired. The company's huge. I forget the name of it. By China. Is China free speech? How much China? Your iPhone is made in China. Is that free speech? So, also, years ago, there was a whole controversy about the Beverly Hills Hotel. I didn't go to Beverly Hills Hotel for like a year to eat, and I love their fucking salad. But I was told that I can't go there because if not, I wasn't supporting women's rights, and I didn't go because it was owned by the Saudis. And to this day, it's still owned by the Saudis. And like I think Ellen protested it, and it was on Jay Leno or whatever. And then eventually it just kind of went away, and people started going back again. They're like, yo, I really love that fucking MacArthur salad. And I went to the little dinette in there, and I saw Seal in there. Yes, I did, Seal. You were in there. And he was eating like, it looked like the best like egg breakfast. And I sat down at the other end and just looked at it. I was like, I'm going to order what Seal's having. I think the people have to understand that there's dirty and oppressive forces all over this world. And I think it's easy to point out the Saudis because they're, you know, the fucking dark crimes which they have been documented doing. So I think this was like, yo, and then you got some very loud voices that are against dark crimes, taking money from dark crimes. Now, if they just said, yeah, man, I'm a fucking hypocrite. But not all of them, because like I said, there are people there that are just straight joy givers that just make you laugh. And they don't do any political stuff, and they're just funny, and they're fucking bringing laughs to the Middle East. And the Middle East, but they're doing a service to them, and maybe they're going to make them less angry and maybe more open-minded through laughter and become more vulnerable. I believe that. So I believe those comedians that went over, I think comedy is good. And I think that I think at some point it is good that there's comedy. You have to have it. I think the thing is that people aren't just saying, yeah, I'm a hypocrite. Yeah, I'm a hypocrite. Either you say, I have my morals. I'm not going to do this at all. No, thank you. And keep on preaching. You can preach all you want. Or I don't talk about it. I actually want to bring joy and hopefully spread peace and have people less angry, and maybe we'll cut down on some fucking wars. It'd be impossible to do, but hopefully maybe one day. That's okay. Or what if they made money and they donate some of the money to charities? Is that fair? I think that would be fair. They don't have to donate anything. It's their money. Or if they take the money, just go, yeah, I wanted to put a down payment on, you know, my beach house. Or they take the money and say, fuck you, you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. That's fine too. And they're going to have to live with the backlash, which I think they're fine with. So you know what I'm saying? I need you guys to fucking make my channel blow up. I say good shit, don't I? People like me. I'm not out here doing dumb shit, am I? I need you to fucking like it, subscribe it, put the bell on, fucking tell me when it's not ringing, all this shit. I might get no views compared to all these fucking people. It's annoying. I deserve it. Don't I? A little bit? Love you. Peace.
Anyone's talking, they're blockers. That's not why I came to Hollywood. Fucking backwards. Bullshit.
I hate to break it to you.